You were so close. The opportunity was real. The relationship was good. The work was finally coming together. And then, quietly, almost without noticing, you started pulling back. Maybe you got cold feet. Maybe you picked a fight that didn't need to happen. Maybe you just stopped showing up the way you were showing up before. And now you're sitting with the familiar weight of watching something good fall apart. The strange part isn't that it happened. The strange part is that some part of you saw it coming and let it happen anyway. This isn't laziness. It isn't fear of failure in the way people usually talk about it, because you failed before and you survived. That's not what this is. This is something more specific, more quiet, more personal. It shows up right at the threshold, not at the beginning of something, but just before it actually works, just before the relationship becomes real, just before the promotion becomes official, just before you'd have to fully own the fact that you got what you wanted. And then something shifts. You start finding reasons to doubt. You create distance. You suddenly need to test whether the other person really means it, or you go numb and lose all the momentum that was carrying you forward. People around you watch and wonder what happened. You wonder too. You might tell yourself you just got in your own head, but that phrase doesn't explain anything. It just describes the symptom without touching the root. The root goes deeper, and it has a name. Here's what you need to hear first. You are not broken. You are not weak, and this is not a character flaw. What's happening is that your brain is doing exactly what it was trained to do, protect you. The problem is that it learned to associate a very specific feeling with danger. That feeling is things going well. If that sounds strange, stay with it. Because once you understand how this gets wired in, everything starts to make sense. Psychologists talk about something called the window of tolerance, the emotional range inside which a person feels safe and functional. Not happy, not sad, just okay, stable. For most people, good news expands that window. Something works out and they feel more secure. But for people who've experienced early or repeated disappointment, where good things ended badly, where trust was broken at the moment of vulnerability, where being hopeful meant getting hurt, the brain starts running a different equation. It learns, the higher things go, the harder the fall. So when life starts moving upward, when success becomes real, when love deepens, when recognition is on the horizon, the nervous system doesn't celebrate. It activates. It reads that rising feeling not as joy, but as exposure, like standing on a ledge. The higher you climb, the more there is to lose. This is the mechanism. It's called upper limiting in behavioral psychology, and it's rooted in what researcher Gay Hendricks describes as a subconscious loyalty to a familiar emotional ceiling. But it also connects to something even older, attachment theory. When care or success was unpredictable in early life, the brain builds a model, good things don't stay. And rather than wait to lose something, it learns to exit first, on its own terms, before the fall happens to you. Here's the mental model to hold on to. Imagine a thermostat, but instead of regulating temperature, it regulates how much good you're allowed to feel. The moment things rise above the set point, it kicks on, not to warm you up, but to cool things back down to familiar. You're not sabotaging your future. You're obeying a thermostat that was set a long time ago. So what do you actually do with this? Not quick fixes, not affirmations, but real psychologically grounded shifts. Step 1, name the threshold moment. The sabotage doesn't come out of nowhere. It follows a specific trigger, a moment when something shifts from possible to real, a conversation that went unexpectedly well, an email confirming the next step, a moment of genuine closeness. Start tracking that moment. When did things feel too good? What happened in the 24 to 48 hours after? Why this works? The brain can't interrupt a pattern it hasn't identified. Naming the trigger moves it from unconscious reaction to conscious event. That gap, even a small one, gives you room to choose differently. Step 2, don't fight the anxiety. Expand your tolerance for it. When you feel the pull to retreat, the urge to create distance, pick the fight, go cold. That feeling is real. The discomfort is real, but the threat isn't. The practice is this. Stay present one beat longer than feels comfortable. Don't perform confidence, just stay. Why this works? The nervous system learns safety through experience, not logic. Every time you tolerate the discomfort of things going well without collapsing it, you are literally retraining the thermostat's set point. This is called corrective emotional experience in clinical psychology. Small moments of staying accumulate. Step 3, find the hidden belief underneath the behavior. Most self-sabotage is loyalty in disguise. Loyalty to a version of yourself that isn't supposed to have this. Loyalty to people from your past who didn't get what you're about to get. Loyalty to a story about what kind of life someone like you is allowed to live. Ask yourself honestly, Who would I become if this actually worked out? And do I believe I'm allowed to be that person? Why this works. Identity-based behavior is more powerful than habit-based behavior. Until the belief shifts, the behavior will keep resetting. Writing this down, not just thinking it, activates the prefrontal cortex and makes the belief visible, which is the first step to revising it. Step 4. Separate unfamiliar from unsafe. The nervous system treats both the same way. Unfamiliar feels like danger. New emotional territory feels like a threat even when it isn't. When you notice yourself wanting to collapse something good, pause and ask, is this actually unsafe or is this just new? Why this works? This simple question activates the prefrontal cortex and interrupts the amygdala's automatic threat response. It doesn't eliminate the feeling, but it introduces a moment of evaluation. And over time, that evaluation becomes faster and more accurate. Here's the one thing to remember from all of this. You are not sabotaging your future. You are protecting a past self who needed that protection. The thermostat is just running old programming. It doesn't know what year it is. It doesn't know how much you've grown. It only knows what used to be true. Your work now is not to destroy that protection. It's to update the setting, slowly, through evidence, through staying, through tolerating joy long enough for the brain to learn, this time it's safe. You've probably spent a long time wondering what's wrong with you, why you can't just let things be good. Nothing is wrong with you. You learned to leave before you got left. You learned to lower the stakes before they could be taken from you. That was intelligent once. It kept something in you intact. But you're reading this at a different moment in your life. And the question now isn't whether you deserve good things. You already know the answer to that. The question is whether you're willing to stay long, enough to find out what happens when you do.